Good morning, America. Happy Wednesday to all of you. I'm Vanessa Broussard. Good to have you on the show with us this morning. Our top story today, it's a wild one. A surrogacy battle spanning 3 states is now raising questions about parental rights and abortion. So here's what's going on. An Alaska surrogate, McKenna West, traveled to Texas after the baby she was carrying was diagnosed with a severe congenital heart defect. West says the California couple who hired her pressured her to terminate the pregnancy. The couple disputes her account and says that they were making medical decisions based on what they believed was best for their child. Let's bring in Jim Harden, CEO of Compass Care. Jim, good to have you on the show today. What a mess this is, but good for the surrogate for not
Yes,
aborting that pregnancy.
yes. Thank you very much for having me back. It's an honor to be with you as always. You're right. I am grateful for the courage of this surrogate mother. But as I said earlier, what a tangled web we weave. That I often say that this the kind of technology that we use for reproductive services is a bit of a kind of a medical wild west. And when surrogacy is not actually regulated as it should be, you're going to have situations like this where there are parents that are going to have this twisted logic that say we want our child to be aborted for our child's sake. It makes absolutely no sense in any moral framework that you can possibly imagine. And so this woman, uh, the surrogate mother, left the state, Alaska, and traveled to Texas where she would be protected and the child would be protected. And she had the baby. And the attorney general stepped in and said, we're going to protect this child. And we're going to give this child the care this child needs. And by the way, it, this child just needs some surgery, right? That's all this child needs. It happens. It's not uncommon that a child needs heart surgery. And there's plenty of, look, when the medical community says, or the pro-abortion community says, what we need to do is just eliminate the child, the person, for the sake of the child. What they're really saying is the medical system should eliminate the patient. It's akin to saying something like a mathematician solves the problem by erasing the equation. It makes, again, no sense. So the medical system is there. The purpose of medicine is designed to maintain the health of the patient. And this is absolutely doing the opposite. And that's one of the reasons why the original Hippocratic Oath, the oath that doctors would take before they started practicing medicine independently, had a phrase in it. And that phrase goes something like this. It's old English. It says, I will not give a woman an abortive remedy. Why? Because abortion represents the opposite of medical care, the opposite of the purpose of medical care. It's the original quackery. And so, now the parents are trying to get the custody back from the surrogate, and apparently they have. And they're trying to make it look like they're all heroes now. Like we're heroes. We're doing the best we can for our child. When in fact they were the ones that were championing the concept of killing that child. Uh, this is not for the child, by the way. This was not for the benefit of the child. This was their actions were for their benefit. They did not want the pain and suffering that comes along with being a parent. Well, they shouldn't have tried to be a parent in the first place if that's their mentality, because parenting represents uh, pain and suffering, but for a purpose. You see, but for a secular kind of worldview, there is no purpose for pain. The only purpose for having a child is for your own personal pleasure and self-actualization. That is not the purpose of parenting, and that is not the purpose of marriage. So we understand this as people who come from a Judeo-Christian heritage, who live in a country whose form of government is based on the Judeo-Christian principle of the truth that we're endowed by our Creator, created equally, and endowed by our Creator with inalienable rights. And He gives us our dignity. That is our Creator, capital C, God, not government, not anyone else. And so the basic premise upon which all other rights are based is this truth of inherent dignity that comes with the fact that we've been created and given life. That is the first and foremost of all rights. And so abortion creates this quagmire, this kind of, I would say, moral, again, medical wild west. When you see abortion kind of crossing the lines with parental rights and surrogacy and all the rest, it is very sticky wicket, if you will. And I think that what needs to happen is a perfect example of why Congress, the federal level, needs to step in and start to clarify basic constitutional terminology. Define, for example, person. What is a person as it relates to the Constitution? Because, for example, Roe versus Wade, the case, the Supreme Court case that legalized abortion throughout all 50 states in 1973. In that case, the majority opinion author, Henry Blackmun, said the word person does not apply to the unborn. Okay, so why is person an important term in the Constitution? Well, if you're a person, if you are a person, you qualify for equal protection under the law, the 14th Amendment. If you are a person, you qualify for Fifth Amendment protections, that your life, liberty, and property should not be deprived without due process of law. Well, if you're a person, then the question is, what makes you a person, and who gets to decide that you're a person? If we vest the government with the ability to disqualify any category of human being from personhood status, it's a slippery slope. Well, who's next? Is it the disabled? Is it the depressed? Is it the politically disfavored? Right? I mean, we're seeing this happen all across the globe. We're seeing it happen to with our neighbor to the north in Canada. They are letting, they are turning medicine into a tool of death instead of a tool of life and preservation. And that's what abortion represents. And that's why I say this a lot. Politicians are not interested in abortion. They're not interested in women's rights. They're not interested in access to medical care. They're not interested in any of that. It's not about choice. It's not about empowerment. It's not about any of that. It's about the ability for government to continue to vest to itself absolute power. And absolute power is this. True absolute power is the ability to decide who lives and who dies. And that is not the government's job. And so the Congress, and I really believe this, if the Republicans actually decided to take the moral high ground and go back to their roots before the Civil War and become the party of all people, they would go out when they come back from August recess, and they would create a Personhood Clarification Act, and they would say, hey, let's all go on record saying that personhood equals any human being with human DNA from the moment of fertilization to natural death. It is the question that Democrats fear the most, and it would allow the Republicans to take the moral high ground and give a vision of America's future where all people are created equal again. It would be a wonderful thing. It would be a beautiful thing. And this particular circumstance is just another that points to the need. There are other circumstances where chemical abortion, for example, 70% of all abortions in America is chemical abortion, sends 1 in 10 women to the emergency room. There are multiple examples where women are being forced to have abortions they don't want, even unbeknownst to them. Hundreds, if not thousands of them. They're working their way through the courts now, where a boyfriend, an abuser, a sex trafficking handler will force a woman to have an abortion by illegally acquiring these drugs from these chemical abortion purveyors, like Hey Jane, for example, or Planned Parenthood. And they ship these drugs from New York to places like Texas and Louisiana and other pro-life states. They're literally forcing these women to have abortions they don't want and sending them to the emergency room. So thankfully, it's making their way through the courts. But this wouldn't be a problem if we had a Personhood Clarification Act. So we're gonna continue to fight. We're gonna continue to raise awareness. I'm grateful that you're raising awareness around this extremely important issue right now. I think this is probably the issue of our generation, and the more we can talk about it, the more humane I think our future will be.
Yeah, you made a lot of great points there in the last few minutes, Jim. I want to talk, you talked about Congress and defining what a person is. They can't even define what a woman is. So if they can't do that, then we definitely can't define what a person is. So we just need to get the basics down first. Back to this case, though, you have, just to clarify for our viewers, you have a surrogate, as you see here, from Alaska. You have the parents in California. You have the surrogate who cares about a baby that's not even hers so much that she travels from Alaska to Texas to try to save this pregnancy. Attorney General Ken Paxton intervenes. A Texas court ordered that the baby receive necessary life-saving care. Ken Paxton was on it immediately. That baby boy, Gabriel, was born this week in Dallas, but is now in the custody of his parents. He underwent his first open heart surgery Monday, this past Monday, 2 days ago, and is recovering. But you're absolutely right. You said this in the beginning. This was a heart defect. Unfortunately, there are a lot of babies who are born with heart conditions. And I have a dear friend of mine whose baby was born with a heart defect, had surgery. The baby's 3 or 4 now and is doing wonderfully. Science and technology and the medical field is so advanced that, little Gabriel's doing fine today, is recovering. But where do we draw the line on the rights of surrogacy and the rights of parents? Are there contracts that are signed when a surrogate signs on to carry a child? Where does the rights come in for a surrogate? Does this define what we're going to look at in the future, for surrogacy? What kind of rights do these mothers have? And again, I am praising the surrogates. Thank God for the surrogate, because little Gabriel is with us today. If not, for her, we wouldn't have him.
That's right. Surrogacy, I think, is unethical, because, well, for several reasons. I think we should outlaw surrogacy. So one of the problems that we have with medical experimentation, for example, or asking people to join a group of people to do human experimentation on, say, a new vaccine that's coming out. Well, you pay them, okay? You have to give them some kind of remuneration. And they've done their due diligence, and they've had the animal testing, so they know it's probably going to be relatively safe in a human context. And so, but they need people to be part of the testing process, and they pay them. But if they pay them too much, it actually acts as an ethical problem. So, for example, if you pay them something like, say, $100, well, it's not going to make or break them. But if you pay them 10,000, people are going to be, people who have financial troubles are going to be, doing something that they probably shouldn't be doing for financial reasons. So this particular case with surrogacy, this particular woman, McKenna West, she's a single mother of 2 already, and she had financial difficulties, and she thought that the remuneration involved with surrogacy could help her make ends meet. Okay, so now she's making a surrogacy decision to become to incubate someone else's child in her own womb for money. Okay, thankfully, her conscience was the deciding factor on whether or not to have this abortion. I'm sure she still would have gotten paid had she had the abortion, but she said, like, life is more important than the money. So thankfully, this McKenna West has a conscience, a very strong conscience, and was willing to protect this child. But nevertheless, you still see this problem. She was being driven by the money aspect of things, and so this is one of the aspects of medical reproductive technology that I think is very dangerous and very destabilizing to family dynamics. I mean, what is this child Gabriel going to know about the circumstances surrounding his birth, and what's that going to do to him when he finds out that his parents really wanted him dead? Is he really going to think, wow, they wanted the best for me? Or is he going to turn around and sue McKenna West for unlawful life? I mean, what does that even, people have done that before. So, this is the kind of, I would say, a demonstration. These are the kind of circumstances that demonstrate that we no longer understand really what it means to be human anymore, and how basic human institutions like marriage and the basic relationships of humanity should operate. Who and how should get involved in the reproductive process between married couples, and should people even necessarily be married? And so now you see homosexual couples trying to have children, and call themselves 2 mothers or 2 fathers or whatever. So this is this is unheard of in the history of mankind. This is very new, and I think that we as the public and as well as government representatives need to take a step back, put a moratorium on all these things like surrogacy, and say let's work this through. Let's actually talk about the moral and societal implications of these kinds of reproductive technologies, specifically surrogacy in this case.
You're absolutely right. And, I do want to add that surrogacy, IVF, some of that is frowned upon in different religions. Catholicism isn't necessarily 100% on board with IVF, no less surrogacy. But science is so far advanced, and the religions aren't able to keep up with just how fast moving science is and how the medical field is. And so you have people who are holding on to their faith and their morals and what they believe is right and wrong. We completely understand that there are couples out there who struggle and cannot have a baby naturally, so have to go through the IVF process. But where do you draw the line? And so you mentioned homosexuals. I just found out yesterday, a dear friend of mine who lives in California, they're having a child through surrogacy, a homosexual couple. Love them dearly. However, at the end of the day, what rights does this surrogate have? We have to keep up with science, or we have to stop it until we get a hold on it. I don't know the answer. But I do know, Jim, that aborting a pregnancy is never, 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 never the answer.
No, I say this. I say this often. I'll say it again here. There's only two things that are sacred in this world. It's God and people. And when we lose sight of that fact, then people become an object for consumption or for our own personal pleasure, whether it's in relationships or even in child bearing and child rearing. We have to take a step back and understand what it means to be human. And I think that's what the abortion debate is really all about. And I think that's what the surrogacy debate is about. I think that's what the IVF debate is about. We need to treat these newly formed embryos fully human. That's where there was a case a couple
They
years ago
are.
in Alabama. Yeah, they are fully human, and they need to be protected and blessed and treated like any other child. They need to have the rights and privileges assigned to them just like any other human being, whether they're in the womb or out of the womb. And so
Right.
we need to be very careful with how we treat these children, and and understand that there are rights should be afforded to every single human being, not just the mothers, but also the children. And so when you take away when you allow yourself as a society to take away the rights or disqualify preborn boys and girls from personhood definition, and protection under the law, it creates a quagmire for the mothers too. Who gets to decide in this case, the surrogate or this the parents that she's contracted with? Who gets to decide whether this child lives or dies? Is it the surrogate parents? Is it the surrogate mother? Is it the doctor? Is it the government politicians? Who and what kind of
No.
question is that anyway?
Not the politicians and not the government, that's for sure. We already have enough struggles with parental rights. We don't need them to decide on,
No.
a pregnancy, that's for sure. Jim, I appreciate you coming on today and talking about this. This is a mess of a story and an issue that we're going to follow for quite some time because, again, science is moving at a rapid pace. And I think that this is just going to be a case that we're going to follow for a long time because it will determine future cases from here on out when surrogacy is involved. Let's talk about Compass Care real quick for about 30 seconds is all we have left. Your website, how people can get to know more about you and what you do.
Thank you very much. Well, Compass Care helps women facing unplanned pregnancy who are seriously considering abortion have their babies in America's abortion capital of New York. We've got pregnancy centers and medical pregnancy centers all across the state, into New York City, Brooklyn, Bronx, Staten Island. So if we're interested in being involved in in helping women have their babies, you can go to compasscarecommunity.com. That's compasscarecommunity.com.
All right. We appreciate you as always, Jim Harden. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. God bless.
Now to cases involving children and hospitals allowing them to change genders. I swear it never ends. A new Wolves in White Coats report shows medical providers are profiting off of transitioning our children. It's deeply disturbing. Here's more from Vice President Vance.
Hey everybody, this is Vice President J.D. Vance. I'm here with my friends and colleagues, of course, our great Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Admiral Brian Christine, the Assistant Secretary for Health. Parents bring their children to doctors because they trust them. They trust doctors to tell them the truth, and they trust hospitals to put their children ahead of ideology and profit. But when that trust gets violated, parents deserve to have a government that will stand up for them and for their kids and do something about it. Today, the Trump administration is proud to announce we're doing exactly that.
Today, HHS released Wolves in White Coats, a report examining pediatric gender medicine and insurance building across America. The findings raise serious questions about what families were told, what insurers were told, and how these procedures were built.
Today, Secretary Kennedy and I referred hospitals and clinics identified by this review to the Department of Justice and the HHS Inspector General for possible violations of federal law. These allegations are crazy and they demand investigation. When children may have been harmed and families misled, it's on those of us in power to find the truth and to seek justice for kids who are harmed by these doctors.
Under the previous administration, my predecessor, Richard Levine, promoted what he called gender-affirming care for minors, and there's nothing caring about that. These are sex-rejecting, mutilating, transgender procedures promoted by the Biden administration, and thanks to President Trump's leadership, we're changing course. The Wolves in White Coats report issued by my office at HHS examines a medical system that subjected children to profound interventions while serious questions remained about evidence, about informed consent, and about financial incentives. The report found more than 225 hospitals and health systems established pediatric gender programs nationwide where they preyed on vulnerable children and told families that their kids needed life-altering medical treatments when what they really needed was compassion and counseling.
So many of these people got rich, not by doing what was good for the patient, but by actually mutilating these kids. It was disgraceful. And if someone broke the law, we are going to hold them accountable.
If the medical establishment failed children, we will confront that failure and restore the sacred duty to do no harm.
And if our public health institutions lost the trust of American families, we're going to earn it back with truth, with transparency, and with gold standard science.
Together, we're going to protect our children, and importantly, we're going to restore trust in public health. When you walk into the doctor's office, you have to know that they're going to do the best by yourselves, by your children, by your family. And we will hold accountable anyone who would betray that trust. We've got so many great doctors, we can't have a few bad doctors tarnish the whole lot. Thank you, everybody.
Vance encourages every single parent to read the new report, and it proof that hospitals and providers are using codes to mislead insurance companies to cover the cost of transitioning our children. It's very scary, very disturbing. All right, new this morning, Tina Peters has a new job, and California Governor Gavin Newsom isn't happy about it. Tina has been tapped to be the Assistant Registrar of Voters in Shasta County, California. Newsom found out and posted this. She should still be in prison. The state is investigating this. Tina Peters has not responded to the reported new job. And CNN is standing behind one of its own reporters after she was disruptive inside the White House. President Trump, as you know, welcomed a California lifeguard this week who saved a little boy's life. The lifeguard and the little boy were sitting next to the president when he began taking questions from the media. In true fake news fashion, one reporter, Kristen Holmes of CNN, started being rude. She was rude and the president quieted her. Watch.
Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news. You're fake news. You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. You're a fake reporter, and you report fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, is there...
Well, CNN came back with this response saying Kristen Holmes is one of the most respected and accomplished journalists covering the White House. This afternoon, she did her job and asked the President of the United States a tough, relevant, and newsworthy question on behalf of the American people. Public officials are free to challenge reporting they disagree with, but personal attacks on journalists for asking questions are beneath the office and inconsistent with the principles of a free press. CNN goes on to say, we stand firmly behind Kristen and reject these attacks in the strongest personal terms. You just heard what happened. I stand firmly behind the president, and I also reject the attacks you've bestowed upon him since 2015, CNN. A journalist does have the freedom to ask questions, but to interrupt the president of the United States, talk over the president, become rude with the president, especially when he says, no more from you, I'm going to take a new question, and you continue on and on and on, that's not journalism. Journalism is asking the question. Let the president answer, and then your job is to report his response fairly and truthfully, CNN, to the American people. Again, truthfully. Let's start there. All right, let's look at a few busts today from the Department of Homeland Security. These are always fun. Starting with Border Patrol, 144 smuggling attempts were caught by the San Diego field office. In the month of July alone, they seized over 550 pounds of fentanyl, 37 pounds of heroin, 2,500 pounds of cocaine, 5,000 pounds of meth. Added all together, that's over 8,300 pounds of drugs seized last month from San Diego alone, with a street value of over $67 million. ICE has obtained a detainer for this man. He's from Honduras. Marico Jose Alberto Sarmiento. Authorities say he's a murderer who was released into America under the Biden administration. Just a great law-abiding citizen is what the left says. Well, he's accused of killing an American father in a hit-and-run in North Carolina. And look at this sicko. This is Martin Carias Reyes, a criminal alien from Honduras whose criminal history includes an arrest for raping a child. He was let back into the States. Another good law-abiding citizen, according to the left. But he was arrested in Boston, awaiting deportation. Biden released murderer arrested here, also in Boston. The convict has been arrested. This one right here. This is Macon Soda dos Reyes. He's been convicted of aggravated murder in Brazil back in 2024. He was just living the life here in the United States. Another good citizen on our streets. Again, according to the left. Here's more from Homeland Security, a quick look at big cases that they're working on.
HSI's Top 5. Number 1, in San Antonio, HSI special agents with the Homeland Security Task Force led a multi-agency operation resulting in the indictment of 11 individuals and the arrest of 9 suspects for human smuggling, resulting in death. Number 2, in Fort Myers, HSI special agents and the U.S. Marshal Service arrested a middle school teacher and scout leader for capital sexual battery on a child under 12, uncovering a disturbing abuse of public trust. Number 3, in Honolulu, HSI special agents with state and local partners arrested a money mule involved in a transnational scheme targeting elderly victims and convincing them to buy gold bars under false pretenses. Their operation stopped a major fraud ring in its tracks, protecting citizens and exposing criminals who prey on the elderly. Number 4, in Mobile, HSI special agents with the Homeland Security Task Force arrested a chief and major of the Pritchard Police Department for theft and ethics violations, following earlier corruption and trafficking charges against another officer. Their decisive actions send a clear message that HSI and the HSTF will hold law enforcement accountable and root out corruption wherever it exists. Number 5, and finally, in Cleveland, HSI special agents and the Ohio ICAC task force secured a 70-year sentence and lifetime supervised release for a former nanny convicted of sexually exploiting children in her care. These cases are just a reminder that HSI's work never stops.
And this week alone, agents tackled child predators, elderly fraud, and even corrupt city workers, all in Texas, Florida, Hawaii, Alabama, and Ohio. American painter Scott LoBaido, well known for his patriotism through art, is back in action after a health scare. We talked to him at the Art Museum of Americas when we come back.
Well, hello, everyone. Well, I'm turning 65, and let me tell you, Medicare has me confused. All the junk mail and the robocalls and everything else, it honestly feels like they rigged the system just to confuse us. Well, that's why I partnered and working with Chapter. They're independent, and they don't work for big insurance. They work for us. In fact, they're the only advisor that compares every single plan nationwide to find what actually fits your needs. If you're on the right plan, they tell you. If you're not, they're going to help you switch. And it's completely free. Just last year, seniors saved about $1,100 by finding a better plan with Chapter. So call Chapter at 234-LINDELL or go to askchapter.org/Lindell. You know, most people think water's just about filtration, but in reality, it's about balance. What gets removed, what gets left behind, and how the water actually behaves once you drink it. Well, many traditional systems focus on one thing, removal. Reverse osmosis, for example, strips water down completely. It may sound ideal, but it removes minerals that our bodies need. The Century Wellness System was designed with a different philosophy. It removes common contaminants like chlorine, fluoride, and PFAS while restoring key minerals like magnesium and improving alkalinity. It also does all this without tanks and without wastewater and without requiring a complicated installation. It installs in about 15 minutes under your sink, so instead of overcorrecting, it brings your water back into balance. Please visit CenturyH2O.com and use promo code Lindell for 10% off your next purchase.
Welcome back to My Mornings. Let's go to Washington, D.C. now. Kara Castronova is standing by with artist Scott LoBaido, who is at the Museum of the Americas, doing well after a health scare.
Hey everybody, Kara Castronova with LINDELLTV, and look who I ran into, Scott LoBaido. I was so excited when I saw him at the art museum. I literally thought I was seeing a ghost because the last time I saw you was on social media after you had your episode, and I'm so glad. I was praying for you. I was texting you. You didn't respond, but I was texting you that I hope you're okay, and he is okay, and he looks great. And I don't want to bother you so much because I know you're all right. How are you doing?
All right, I should be home, but it's hard to keep me stationary.
So he was able to make his way down to DC, which means he is doing much better. But we're not gonna talk too much, Scott. But I wanted to ask you if you were gonna have over here this food. There's some food over here, as you can see. In honor of President Trump, at the Art Museum today, they are serving hamburgers, cheeseburgers, Diet Coke, and mini apple snack pies. Will you be having any in honor of our president?
Well, considering my health situation, I can't have any McDonald's. That's only because I just had Wendy's.
You just had Wendy's.
All right.
Okay. So how are you doing, really, in all seriousness? How are you doing? So many people were praying for you. I literally had a panic attack when I heard the news. So many people were texting me about it. I was not okay with it. And then I found out you were doing okay through John Tobacco. So that was good news. And how are you feeling?
I'm okay. Not 100%. I got a little bit of work to get my strength back. But considering I was flatlined for 2 minutes, I was gone. Sadly, there was a lot of people that own my artwork that were millionaires for
Right.
2 short minutes.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, like, as we had this discussion, it's not until people pass on until their artwork is worth a lot. But now maybe that should have upped the value of some of your pieces.
Yeah, that's how it works. Now it's, hey, listen, now you got to buy my artwork because, this is how it works. This is how the art process works.
So buy Scott's artwork, but and I know you're not going to tell me. I did really, in a real curious way, want to know what you saw, because I know a lot of people that have died, and you died for 2 minutes, but now you're alive again. So I wanted to know what you saw. Is there an afterlife? Did you see the pearly gates? Did you see a light at the end of the tunnel? Feel free to expand or not tell me anything at all.
It would be selfish for me to tell anybody what I experienced.
But it was something.
Yeah, of course it was something.
Okay, good. I mean,
I'm taking it to my grave, no pun intended.
Okay, we're gonna take a walk, Scott. See, I want to know because I want to know what I have to look forward to. A lot of people are nervous, so
You don't want to know. You're not. That's the
thought
whole
you would
point.
spill
You're
the
not
beans.
supposed to know. You're not supposed to know.
is there a hereafter from your experience in the hereafter?
I don't want to say that because it's going to change people's. I don't want anybody to change their lives just so. And it doesn't matter what I might have seen or might not have seen or experienced.
Well, right, I know. We're gonna go look at something you might have experienced, but I know you mentioned that you have a new a defibrillator you're wearing.
Yep, right there. This way, if it happens again, because what I had was the worst possible thing. It's called a widowmaker, the I can't even say it, ventricular fibrillation, and I was just the luckiest man in the world because I was at a cop event and there were tons of police officers there, and the medical service unit of the NYPD was there, and along with another guy, Ari Weiss, medic. The three of them brought me back to life, literally. And if they weren't there, I would have not have.
Right. Do you think you would have had? Would you have had the incident if you were home, or was it the excitement of the event?
It was coming. It was apparently I had something. I mean, my heart is good. My lungs are good, even though I smoked and drank my whole life. But I quit smoking many years ago, a couple years ago. But it was just a scar that I had that the electrical current wasn't crossing over to, and it was going to happen eventually. And
Could they have found it before, or what would you say to people that might have a similar problem? How do you find this?
I don't know. You just don't increase your stress level to a fraction of Scott Lebedo's, because that's pretty much what it is.
So are you planning on taming down now?
I'm going to drive my 5.0 really fast as usual, but I'm just going to stop at the train tracks this time instead of trying to beat the train. Because the train came early this time.
We're here at the. I know that I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're trying to take it easy, but we are here in Washington, D.C. at the Art Museum. This is the Museum of the Americas. And in my opinion, I'm not just saying this, Scott, because you're standing here. The work of art in the whole building is your painting upstairs of your American flag that I've covered before. It was painted at the Great American State Fair. So that's upstairs. We're going to go take a quick look at that. This art museum, just talk a little bit about the museum in general, though. How much does it mean to you to be featured sort of as the centerpiece work of art in this museum today?
Well, it's not necessarily the centerpiece. It's just the biggest piece. There's some tremendous artwork here. But it is really special for me because I had a divorce with the art world, an ugly divorce many, many years ago, and I would never be featured in the museum. So for the lovely Erin to reach out as we tried to get my work in here at the Passport to Patriotism, as this show is called. And so to be featured in a major art museum in D.C. For the first time in a museum, it's an honor. And I thought that only happens to people that, pass. And it's kind of ironic.
Because you did pass.
I did actually die, and my work is in a museum. And it's all part of the art game, I guess.
What's that building over there? It's pretty.
That's another, I forget, but it has something to do with the embassies.
Right.
The embassies.
This is the real deal. We're in like sort of the heart of the art district in DC. This is a beautiful museum. We're going to go take a look at your painting. So now we reappear in front of Scott Lebedo's work of art right here, which you have seen before on LINDELLTV when we were at the State Fair. So this is your painting, and how did it get here through this door? Because this is a small door and this is a massive painting.
It had to be taken apart and it's mounted on a stretcher bars behind, and there's about 1,000 staples when you mount a canvas like this, even if it's small. So they had to take every single staple out, roll it up, take down the whole frame, take it apart, then bring it in here and reassemble it. And then I came in with my crew to put the frame on, temporary frame. And here it is. So hopefully from here it goes to the new beautiful ballroom that's being built.
Right. We love to see in the ballroom. So Scott, did you know this was going to be in here, or was this a new thing? I mean, before you died for 2 minutes.
It was last minute that we, because the show wasn't going on, the Passport to Patriotism, and then somebody reached out to Erin, my manager Dan, and was like, "Hey, can Scott get?" And they were like, "Oh my God, what a great idea!" So they made room.
So there was a reason.
It wasn't like a little painting they were going to squeeze in. It's the biggest painting, it's 9 feet by 17.
Yeah.
So they made it happen. And that's what happens in D.C.
It is. And President Trump, I'm sure, would love it. Has he seen it yet, President Trump?
I don't know, but little by little, it's going to get to him eventually. And then once he sees it,
he's going to have it. He's going to. Let's take a look at it again. If we could get a shot of it, and maybe just tell us a little bit about the detail work here. Like, how did you get the light to sort of reflect on the white stripes and even on the red stripes?
well, it's being an artist for my whole life. You learn, you start. It's funny. My mom passed about 6 years ago, and she left us all a little tin of our childhood things, little shoes and stuff. And then when I opened mine, there were these drawings that I did when I was like 5, 6 years old. So it was pretty cool. I took one out and I framed it and I put it next to a painting I've recently done to see the transformation of my journey of 50 some odd years.
Were you pinning flags back then?
There was some stuff that was patriotic, but it wasn't. No, I became the patriot in the 90s when patriotism was taboo.
Right.
And, the art world didn't care for patriotic artists or art. So I said, that's what I'm going to do. And here we are.
Is there symbolism behind the tear? There's a little tear at the end of the flag, which I love because it kind of just...
Yeah, that's the name of the painting is called Forever, because she will, even though we're only 250 years old, America, even through our turmoil right now, is going to last forever. It has to, because it's the greatest invention in the history of civilization. And yes, it's going to go through a trial error, but she will prevail. And even with all the beatings that she has taken, there's a Johnny Cash song about this flag has been, dragged through the mud. It's been spit on. It's been burned. It's been through war. It's been shot at by cannons and bullets, but yet she still waves her resilience. So I wanted to put a little bit of that in this beautiful, clean flag, as she is so beautiful and sexy. And that's a weird word to say.
So wear and tear is sexy on women? I love it. Because everybody, what about real women? Like if they have a couple wrinkles?
Well, all women are sexy. She is. If you look at this piece, the wind, how she blows and carries her, she dances. She dances like an exotic dancer dances, a belly dancer. A man cannot take his eyes off of that. That's why there's nothing distracting. People said, well, why not? Why is it an airplane or a bit? No, man, she's alone. When that girl's on that stage, nothing else matters. There's no distraction. That's all that look, it's a weird analogy, but I am what I am.
Right. So you were very inspired by strippers while painting this flag. It seems.
Listen to me. I'm not supposed to be getting excited here, all right? Like for real.
Your heart, Scott. Now listen, in all seriousness, there's one more scoop I was going to ask you about, and that was you offered Mandani a ceasefire for 9/11. Talk about that.
Yeah.
This Scott's it's like Batman and Robin sort of, not Batman and the Joker in New York City, like Scott LoBaido versus Mayor Mandani, who he doesn't really like that much, but you called for a ceasefire. What does that mean?
For one day, because I when I found out he refused to not go to this Ground Zero 9/11 ceremony, which is so sacred, and no one wants him there, and it's only going to upset these families, and he's still persistent to go. And I said, you know what? Well, then I'm going, and I'm going to tell my people to come, and we're going to humiliate him. We're going to make a scene. And then I said today, I tell you what, I'll have one day ceasefire. We can go head to head every day. You could bring your socialism and communism, and my soldiers and will be the resistance to put a squash to it. But one day, let's take the gloves off. I'll stay away, and I'll promise right now first that I will not go to Ground Zero, because it's not about Scott LoBaido and his mission. It's about those families and those who survived and the members of the families. So I'm asking him to do the same thing. Just come out and say that you're not going to go. And you're not, I'm not winning. Scott LeBedo won because he didn't. It's not about that. Nobody wins here except the families of 9/11. So it would be so good for the people if he just came out soon and just said, I'm not going. Doesn't have to make a big deal about it. Just don't show up. And then the next day on the 12th, we can put our gloves back on and keep the battle going.
Do you think he'll take you up on that?
I have no idea, but the offer's there.
Okay, well, that's great. And minus 9/11 and minus all of this having to do with this sort of feud, which I understand why it's important to you. Fast forward. Is there ever room in America, this beautiful nation, 250-year anniversary, for people like Mandani and people like Scott LeBedo, very different ideologies politically, to sit down, kiss, make up, and just be one big family?
Well, yeah, because we were that way. But what happened? The radical left took it too far. And the moderate Democrats allowed them to do that. This is why it's going to backfire. This is why we will continue. Because this project, it's a short-term project of this socialism, communism being forced into these cities that they think is going to spread to the rest of the country, where there's 200 million folks locked and loaded with more weapons and ammunition than all the people combined in the world, waiting for Mamdani and his crew to come and take over America. It's not going to happen. So we can get back to that balance. It's supposed to have distance.
So we're supposed to check and balance.
Yeah, we're supposed to. That's what it is. If
It's almost like if your little brother's acting up, you're like, all right, you kick him, but like, you don't kill him.
No, you're just like, you don't even have to kick him. You just.
Maybe sometimes. Right.
But we can get back to discourse. I mean, I have friends and family that are total opposite of me, and we get along. It's proven it can be done. But when you are really trying to destroy and disrupt the foundation of this country by not assimilating to this country, we have an effing problem. And we need to resist that. And that's what we're doing right now. And then when you calm down, then we can get back to being Republicans and Democrats normally, where we fight and bicker and disagree without violently destroying each other's lives and property. There's no need for that. I've been doing this for 35 years. I've never hurt anything. I've never destroyed anything. Oh, I'm vulgar. I'm provocative. I'm expressive. I'm in your face. I'm raw, but I never threatened to hurt anybody. We don't have to do that.
Right.
From my hospital bed, I sent that banner over New York City that said, Mandani, stay out of ground zero. From my hospital bed, when I just had my chest opened up. You know what I'm saying? We could be creative and fight.
Hopefully we can. And last question, if you had opened your eyes when you woke up in the hospital bed and Mandani was there with a bouquet of flowers, would you have accepted? And he was like, listen, Truce, I'm here to...
I would have accepted it. But then when I got out of the hospital the next day, I would have went there with another sculpture of the middle finger in front of City Hall, and I would have kept fighting.
It's like Batman and the Joker. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a little bit.
I
So Scott, take care of yourself. We're so glad. I love you. I'm so glad you're okay. I was so worried about Scott. He's okay, everybody. I ran into him. I thought I was seeing things. I couldn't believe he was here. He's alive and he's well, and he's ready to do more beautiful artwork and to continue to fight the good fight in New York City. Really just sort of the center of the universe. If it happens in New York, it can happen anywhere. And if you put a stop to it in New York, it pretty much stops everywhere. I've learned that. Thank you so much, Scott LeBedo. Where can people follow you?
ScottLebedo.com is my website, and of course my social media, which I rant on every day, at Scott LeBedo.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great artwork there. When we come back, all good at the International Space Station after yesterday's spacewalk. We have an update for you next.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LINDELLTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LINDELLTV LinDELLTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98, queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pier 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
Taking a look at Wall Street opening bell numbers, the Dow, the S&P 500, and NASDAQ. Wall Street is coming off a third straight losing session, with chip and AI stocks taking some of the biggest hits yesterday. Right now, the Dow and the S&P 500 are up, NASDAQ down at this time. In your news to go as you start your day, Byron Donalds is one step closer to the governor's mansion. The Trump-backed congressman won Florida's Republican primary for governor. Donalds now advances to November, where he will face Democratic nominee and former Congressman David Jolly. The two are vying to replace term-limited Governor Ron DeSantis. Mission accomplished. 2 astronauts from NASA spent more than 6 hours outside the International Space Station working on a failed high-speed communications antenna. The two removed the failed antenna, but the installation of its replacement will have to be done during a future spacewalk. That's them returning back, all smiles and some waves. Here's a look at the president's schedule for today. At 8 o'clock, he held an executive meeting. At 11 and 12:30, back-to-back policy meetings. Then at 2:30, President Trump will deliver remarks with technology leaders at the White House. And then he will end the day with a policy meeting at 4 o'clock. Make sure you're following all the news of the day at LINDELLTV.com. Lots of updates there and some op-eds from some of our writers. They are second to none. They're great at what they do. So make sure you are tuned in to LINDELLTV.com. Also, the Lindell TV app. Make sure you download it. It is free in your app store. You can get it on your phones and also on your tablets. And don't forget, you can also follow me on social media, like and subscribe to all my pages. I'm on X, Vocal, Truth Social, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can also go to my website, VanessaBroussard.com, to subscribe to my newsletter. We leave you today with our Bible verse of the day from the book of Psalms. The Bible says this: "All the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord, and all the families of the nations will worship before you. For the kingdom is the Lord's, and he rules over the nations." And that'll do it for us here this morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you all same time, same place tomorrow. We leave you today with video of some U.S. soldiers from around the country. We salute them, we thank them, and we pray for them every single day. Have a great day.
Well, hello, everyone. Well, I'm turning 65, and let me tell you, Medicare has me confused. All the junk mail and the robocalls and everything else, it honestly feels like they rigged the system just to confuse us. Well, that's why I partnered and working with Chapter. They're independent, and they don't work for big insurance. They work for us. In fact, they're the only advisor that compares every single plan nationwide to find what actually fits your needs. If you're on the right plan, they tell you. If you're not, they're going to help you switch. And it's completely free. Just last year, seniors saved about $1,100 by finding a better plan with Chapter. So call Chapter at 234-LINDELL or go to askchapter.org/Lindell. You know, most people think water's just about filtration, but in reality, it's about balance. What gets removed, what gets left behind, and how the water actually behaves once you drink it. Well, many traditional systems focus on one thing, removal. Reverse osmosis, for example, strips water down completely. It may sound ideal, but it removes minerals that our bodies need. The Century Wellness System was designed with a different philosophy. It removes common contaminants like chlorine, fluoride, and PFAS while restoring key minerals like magnesium and improving alkalinity. It also does all this without tanks and without wastewater, and without requiring a complicated installation. It installs in about 15 minutes under your sink, so instead of overcorrecting, it brings your water back into balance. Please visit CenturyH2O.com and use promo code Lindell for 10% off your next purchase. Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses. And now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now, they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control. And like everybody else out there, I have used my arm, folded my pillows, got migraines in the morning from sleeping on poor pillows, and pillows are the problem. They're